shoot flashbang grenades at people, and then he doesn't have a comment when there's serious brain injuries and stuff. But then he all jumps all over this text message stuff, which is all actually just a bunch of bull. I mean, it's really like all he's doing is playing both sides of the fence. He's trying to act like there was some major discrepancy and bias, but you know, I've looked at both the emails between Naya and the leftist protesters, and actually I found him to be pretty chummy with both sides, and then the mayor's acting like telling someone that they have a warrant they need to take care of is like this big egregious thing, but the reality is people are told every day in the streets that they have a warrant they need to be take care of. So
what's your name?
So he's totally just derailing everything, and
I'm hearing you. I'm 100% hearing you. But this, where you're going on right now, is exactly the thing that's derailing it. Like when your original statement that you just said, I acknowledge it. And what I was going to get to say before you did interrupt me is, if you do need an extra minute when you speak, we will be more than happy to give you that. What we ask in return is that you try and stick to the topic. Right now, we're in the middle of an amendment, and it's getting close to 8:30, and we want
well,
to
it's
finish
cool.
it.
I just wanted to say a few things because
And I 100% hear you on that.
I think there needs to be more of a community voice because you know, when it's not that open to the community, and that's probably why a lot of people from the community aren't here. You only have a small number of people.
Right. And so what we're going to do going forward is we will give you those extra 30 seconds to a minute, but we do also ask that you keep your points to the point, your comments to the topic at hand, which we're at the amendment, and I think we're ready to vote on that. If there's any other quick comments, I think there was one to the gentleman directly behind you, and we'll take that, and then we will vote.
Thanks so much. Sorry, just a second.
If it's just going to go the same way Cokel did, it's just going to be another failure. So you might as well just end it now. You know, it's all going to be a
Come together.
To the last gentleman's point, it may be worth, again, I don't know any of the background or context on this, it may be worth having someone who is professionally trained in empathy and conflict present at these meetings to work in a constructive way with these types of conflict scenarios. Sometimes a lot of professional skill can assist with these sorts of conflicts, and it can still be tricky and difficult. As far as I would want to say, I really appreciate the amendment as it's being considered. So I have a clarifying question about the difference between publicly identify and identify. I think publicly identify is self-explanatory, but so if that's not the case, then what does it mean under the proposed revision to identify? For instance, will that be, you know, when a person applies to this, does that mean that they must, or that they're encouraged to seek applicants who identify in their application, which may be kept private and confidential, that they have a lived experience of mental illness? So what does the term identify mean in this circumstance? Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. The goal behind removing publicly was, as you were indicating, to avoid a situation where we would be requiring people to put it in a public forum that they have this particular lived experience, which can be sensitive. I think that the applications are also public documents, so it wouldn't be a situation in which they would necessarily be required or necessarily even asked to disclose, although, as I recall, there was an opportunity to mention this in the application process, so people are still free to do that. I think one of the goals is to make sure that we are getting as much of a cross-section of the community as possible, and that we are reaching out to people of every lived experience when we are seeking an alternate pool. And that means engaging with all sorts of corners of the city, all sorts of organizations that can spread the word about the need for people to apply and serve on this board, and get that diversity of experience. That's the goal.
I think it's really important to recognize, and when you say require, I don't see require anywhere in here. And so I think it's important to recognize that I'm not requiring somebody to do this. I'm just saying that we should have a healthy amount of this, because this is what the settlement agreement, which is a narrow version of what we're doing, is about. So,
Right, great.
thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move to a vote. We'll just go right down the list. Just a simple yes or no based on the friendly amendments, which strike some piece of this. And we are gonna start with Rachel.
Yes.
Sebastian?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Let's see who's next. Lakeisha?
Sorry, did we vote on the original agenda amendment, or we just scratched the
We-
original?
We scratched it, and we are doing a friendly amendment, which is scratched out like 4 or 5 words, which I can no longer see, but it takes out publicly, the number of people, and the word persons, 1 person. It's on,
Are you comfortable with that? If Patrick is comfortable with it, then
Bob Dye's not here, we're gonna go with Sharon.
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Rochelle, Britt,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
and Yolanda.
yes.
Okay, that is a 10-0 vote. Okay, so that amendment has passed. We have a recommendation, 004, which is to move up the release of the annual report. If I can find that. So it just basically says, we recommend PPB prepare a first draft of its 2018 annual report no later than June 2019 to allow PSEP to review and comment in time for PPB to post a report publicly no later than September 2019. This follows feedback from PSEP and from the community that there was not enough time to review that. B, we recommend the 2018 report clearly list PPB's annual goals and priorities, including a self-assessment of progress toward meeting these goals. We felt that there was a lot of praise, but there wasn't enough in there of substance as far as things that could be improved. C, we recommend the 2018 annual report includes self-critical information on annual failures and areas of improvement, which basically speaks to what I was just mentioning. And D, we recommend that the 2018 annual report include hyperlinks to applicable information found elsewhere on PPB's website, including statistical data, analysis, news, and revised directives, critical event information, and relevant external reports, i.e. the OIR group's review of officer-involved shootings and the auditor's report on gang enforcement patrol. For this recommendation, we will go, we have to open this up to PSEP discussion first and foremost. Thoughts on this, comments, questions?
Just a little bit of context for folks in the room. These are recommendations that came from individual PSET members when we were tasked with reviewing the PPB's 2017 annual report. So what we're trying to do now is memorialize some of those recommendations before the public and this board.
Yeah, really, really good feedback. Public comment. We have Dan first on the queue.
Hi, I don't know what happened to the 2017 report, and I'm not sure if you have time to tell us, but I think this should say that both the 2017 and 2018 reports must go through the public process described in the DOJ agreement. There's supposed to be a city council meeting where it's presented, and there's supposed to be a precinct, each precinct is supposed to have one. So I'd like to see you add that both the 2017 and 2018 reports should be presented as described in the DOJ agreement.
Noted, thank you. Other public comments? Okay, I'm gonna kick it back to the group real quick. Oh, yep.
So my name is Keith Davis, David Keith Davis, Multnomah County Cop Watch. And so Ted Wheeler is the one who essentially picks and approves everyone on this board, right?
Yep, correct.
Well, he's a total tyrant. He hates the mentally ill. He targets the mentally ill. He won't even allow me to speak at city council meetings without being attacked by G4S mercenaries. He's kept me out of City Hall the majority of his term in office through an illegal stalking order after Nick Fish's senior policy advisor, James Dunphy, gaslighted me and said, "Aren't you a sex offender?" And I have none of those charges. My birth date is 6/30/1970, David Keith Davis. Anyone can look it up. Never been accused of that. Never been convicted. So I have senior policy advisors accusing me of being a sex offender. And then I saw this person a couple weeks after that. And I said, you know what? You want to make up a bunch of stories about me and gaslight me and talk a bunch of crap? And, and these people know that I have PTSD. They baited me into a reaction. They know I hate sex offenders. Nick Fish actually gets money from Terry Bean, who's been raping kids for 40 years. He also used to work for Barney Frank, who ran a male brothel out of his house, who also had congressional aides that were male prostitutes. Barney Frank has been implicated in the child abduction of Johnny Gosch. There's a Netflix documentary about Johnny Gosch. It's one of the most infamous child abduction cases. There's a guy, Paul Bonacci, who did an interview, and it's on YouTube, and he accuses Barney Frank
You're at
of
your 2
being,
minutes. You have 1 minute
of
left.
being
Keith.
involved in the child abduction and rape of Johnny Gosch. So this is Nick Fish, someone who's worked with people who are implicated, not by some conspiracy theorists, but by Senator John DeCamp in the Franklin cover-up book. And then he has his little staff members gaslighting me. And then I said to the guy, you know what, you want to accuse me of being a sex offender and all this? I said, there's a whole nother way we can handle this, and it's called a boxing gym, and it's totally legal. And then he got a stalking order on me, and then I was kicked out of City Hall for over a year.
20 seconds left. Any
And now
thoughts on the
I'm kicked out
recommendation?
again, and Ted Wheeler hates the mentally ill, he hates the homeless, he works for nothing but the oligarchs and the rich, and he's violating the DOJ settlement by targeting the mentally ill at City Hall and all kinds of stuff, and ADA
Keith, you're at 3
violations.
minutes now.
So the fact that he's in charge of this just shows that it's just gonna be a complete failure no matter what.
Okay, thank you for your
Especially if
comments.
he's the one that gets the final approval.
Yep, we're gonna move on to a comment
I
from
don't think
Patrick.
that he needs to
Look,
be the
Dad!
one.
Look, Dad!
I don't care.
Hey,
Why don't you
Excuse me.
stop?
let him
Hey,
speak.
you know what?
We-
You got in my
we-
face too. You got in my face too after your
Okay,
buddy
we are gonna move on.
After your buddy accused me of being a white supremacist, right? You got in my face, and I'm a Jew, okay?
So we're gonna move on to a comment from Patrick,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna keep going with the meeting.
And you